Hello, hello, hello. Hello, my name is Lauren and I am a mom of 6. I have been pregnant, breastfeeding, or pumping for the last 13 years. And so I've got a few things to say. I breastfed my first 5 babies nearly exclusively. Baby number 5, she really got off to a rough start. And so I began a journey of pumping for the first time with baby number 5. And this baby, baby number 6, has decided he does not want to breastfeed at all. And so I'm an exclusive pumping mom for the very first time. And I have learned a couple things along the way. So today's video, I think I'm going to call it 5 ways to make pumping a little less horrible. More enjoyable, let's say. 5 ways to make pumping more enjoyable. So the first way I would say to make it more enjoyable is 1, let's just make sure we're using the right equipment. Let's make sure that we're sized correctly. Our flanges, make sure we're using the right pump. I hate to say it because it's so pricey just to keep trying different things. But no woman is the same. Nobody's breasts are the same. And so it would make sense that what works for one woman is not going to work for the next woman. Supply is different. Letdown is different. There's so many different variables. So figuring out what works for you and fine-tuning that. I have worked with professionals to make sure that my flanges are sized correctly. And I'm going to say something that maybe not a lot of people will say. Trust your instincts, because a professional might give you a piece of advice that doesn't actually work for you. I had the experience where I was sized a certain way and I just felt that it was not my right size. And the lactation consultant was convinced that there's no way that I could be the size that I said I was. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I'll give it a shot. And it turned out at the end of the journey that she ended up sizing me right where I had sized myself, because we do have intuition about our own bodies. We have intuition about what's working and what's not working. And I had tried the previous size. I told her it didn't work, even though mathematically, yeah, that would make sense that you would choose that size for me, but that's not my size. So what I'm going to tell you is, if a professional gives you a piece of advice that actually doesn't work for you, just thank you, but no thank you. I know my body and I know what works for me. Okay. So that's step 1, is just cluing into what works for you, your body, and making sure we're using the right tools and equipment. This also includes your pumping bra. Okay. I went a very long time with a pumping bra that just was so uncomfortable and restrictive, and it was actually inhibiting letdown. And so invest in a good pumping bra that's comfortable, that holds it in place. If you're a wearable type of person, if you're using wearable pumps, invest in a bra that you can fit your wearable into. And just make sure that you're using the right equipment. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I would say, is make your pumping experience as sensorily pleasant as possible. I have yet to meet a woman that loves to pump. If you're that woman, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to meet you and tell me your ways. But most of us just don't really enjoy it. So what I have found is that if I can make it as sensorily pleasant as possible, I am much more likely not to dread my pumping sessions. So for example, think about your 5 senses. What do I want to see when I'm pumping? Well, I certainly don't want to see a mess. So if I have my space, or at the very least my pumping corner, cleared and clean, I feel better. What do I want to smell? Maybe I want a candle lit. Maybe I want to diffuse some safe essential oils. We got to be careful with the bebis. And yeah, just again with the cleanliness, making sure you have a clean space, the trash is taken out. what do I want to hear? Maybe I need to throw on some music. What do I want to feel? What's your favorite blanket? Like, think about it. Like, when your kiddos are sick, what do? Like, we baby them. We're like, do you need some tea? Do you need a soft blanket? This is my best pillow. Here's the best pillow in the house. Like, do you want to put on a movie? Like, do that to yourself when you pump. And I get it. Like, there's so many pumping sessions in a day. We can't make every single pumping session a spa-like experience, but we can have certain things in place, like our favorite blanket or, you know, the candle that we like to light. Like, we can have these things in our pumping space available to us to help make it more pleasant. Number 3, and this kind of goes with the experience of it, is batch your pumping to habits that you enjoy or that you'll do anyway. So, for example, I drink my coffee. Yes, I drink coffee while pumping. Hope you won't judge me too harshly. I drink my coffee during my first or second pump of the day. Usually it's the second pump of the day. I will do my nighttime tea beverage during my before bed pump. I will do some reading and praying, you know, depending on what time of the day it is, depends on my activity. I like to keep things on hand. I'm looking over here because this is like where I got all the stuff. I have my little rolling cart here with all my goodies. I like to keep magazines. I like to keep prayer books. I like to keep catalogs that come in the mail, like things that I wouldn't typically have time for. Like, I get to sit down and I get to have this time for me. And so if I think about it that way, it becomes less of a burden and more of a breather. Okay, and then number 4 is utilize the baby. Utilize this bonding time with your baby. Sometimes I'll get my little baby in his seat, his little bouncer next to me, and I'll pump and I'll feed him while I'm pumping. Other times I'll like tickle his feet or tickle his tummy or make him laugh or talk to him, and we have special bonding time together. I really struggled, and still do honestly struggle, with what feels like the severing of our relationship as a exclusively pumping mom. You don't get that same type of bonding that you get when you breastfeed, but that doesn't mean you're not bonding. And so I just want to remind you of that. You can still bond with your baby. You can have, you know, where you have the baby between your legs, like say you're sitting on the floor and the baby's between your legs, and we're having that bonding time. And there's just something about that. It helps the letdown. And I know if you're working, you know, some of these tips may not apply during the workday, but this is what I do at home with my baby. And, you know, maybe you working mamas can tell us the tips that you do during work to help with pumping. Okay, and then the last tip that I have is just to make it a humble offering. Send it to God. We can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. And so when we have something that's difficult, something that is not enjoyable, even though when I'm talking about it now, I'm like, how can this not be enjoyable? This sounds amazing. But really though, pumping can be so hard. It can be so trying on our spirits and mentally, and then we're tired at night. Just offer it as a humble offering. And, you know, depending on your schedule, you could make 6 to 12 humble offerings. I don't know how many times you pump. I pump about 7 times a day in a 24-hour period, 7 to 8. Each one can be this offering. It's like, this is really hard, and Lord, I place it at your feet. I place it at the bottom of the cross as my sacrifice, as you sacrificed for me. And this is my prayer. This is my humble prayer as I get through these next 20 minutes. I offer it to you. And so even if it's still difficult, it's not meaningless. It wasn't meaningless before, but it just adds that extra value. So those are my tips, and let me know if you have any other tips that help you. Please let me know what other topics you'd like to hear about with pumping and breastfeeding and all that. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. And you've got this, Mama.